I'm totally enchanted, and he gave me his book, and I read it right away. He's got a, what's the name of the Druid one?
Xenophobia and the Jewish Druid and Other Stories, a prequel to future works.
You can see why I didn't give you that name. And he's got several CDs on audio. He's very original, and it's Dylan Brody.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you, Tracy, for having me. And I must thank all of you for braving Hollywood on a Saturday night to come down to the M Bar for mid-tempo entertainment in a downbeat atmosphere. I wish to present one story I know that will be on the next CD I record. And I will be releasing a CD on February 14th, and I'm already planning the next one. And people ask me why I do so much recording and selling of CDs, and because I feel I need to, because that's where the money is in storytelling. And I'm always a little bit. I lost a great deal. I invested heavily in speculum futures, and then lost everything I had at the end of the big vagina bubble in 1998. This piece is called. What are we going to call this piece? Let's call this piece Ambition of Shakespearean Proportions. In my early 20s, I studied theater at the very pompous Royal Academy of Dramatic Arts in London. And a friend of mine at the marginally less pompous Royal Academy, London Academy of Music and Dramatic Arts, invited me to see a play that he was in. It was a production of Camino Real by Tennessee Williams. And to my mind, nothing speaks to an evening of fine theater like British college students doing Tennessee Williams. So I put on my very best go-to-theater shirt, and I took the tube to the RADA campus to see this production. And in the show, there was a young woman who was lovely and fun. This was before I met my wife, and I should say I adore my wife. I knew right away that I wanted to spend my life with her. I knew I wanted to marry my wife the night that, in a moment of supreme arrogance, I asked her if I was the first man to whom she had ever made love. And without a moment's hesitation, she said, "Do you want my stock answer?" But this was long before I had met my wife, and I saw this lovely, funny woman who did a very good job in the play. So when my friend invited me out for drinks with the cast, I said I would love to join you. And I sat down with the group at a table, and at one point, one of the young men at the table said very excitedly, "I got the Rothschild self-help CDs, they're subliminal CDs, they sound just like the Waves. These are the best recordings in the world. I have never felt better in my life. You must buy the whole set, you must buy the whole set." And I waited a moment and then said, "I also have been listening to those recordings. And I have to say they are the best recordings in the whole world. I've never felt better in my life. You must buy the whole set. You must buy the whole set." And this lovely young woman who I wished to impress was the only person at the table who understood why that was funny. So I was deeply enchanted. And I began trying to impress her with tales of my stand-up comedy career and my work at the Royal Academy. And I had the exotic American accent going for me, so that was working. And after about an hour of talking to her, I realized that I was too self-involved ever to have learned her name. But now it was too late to say, "I'm sorry, and who are you?" So I tried to cover by saying, "I'm sorry, what was your last name?" And she said, "I'm Julie Kate Olivier." And I said, "Any relation to Sir Lawrence?" And tried to fill my voice with so much sardonic wryness that she would know instantly that I knew she had heard this joke every day of her life since she'd gone into theater, but she knew exactly who she was, and she said, "Yes, he's my father." At which point, she instantaneously went in my mind from being a hot prospect to being a golden ticket. Up until this moment, I had been thinking of ways of taking advantage of her, and now all I could think of were ways of taking advantage of her. And I knew that she could see, if I just paused for a moment longer, the venal greediness in my eyes. So, to cover, I lifted the pint of warmish British ale that I was drinking, and I took a big sip, and I tried to steer my focus back to the lovely curve of her neck and the way she moved her hair when she laughed, and the thought of putting my lips just against that place where her clavicle dips in the little indent. And as quickly as I imagined that, I imagined having breakfast with her in a cool British kitchen with a linoleum and the Formica tabletop and the slanted gray light coming in through the window. And I imagined just as vividly and clearly her father coming down the stairs, possibly from a tryst with Danny Kaye. He was wearing a burgundy bathrobe and matching corduroy burgundy slippers, and I could see the pale blue veins through the translucent flesh of his spindly old English actor legs. And the image was so clear and so large and so full-blown in my mind that it pushed the beer back out through my nose. And because I was wearing my fancy go-to-theater shirt, I quickly caught the beer in the mug that I was holding so as to protect myself, and then looked to Julie Kate Olivier, genuinely expecting a good save from her because of my ninja-like reflexes. And instead, what I saw was a look of sadness and horror. And I could see from her perspective that she had just told this young American actor who she was and what her theatrical lineage was. And in an absurdist attempt to impress her, he had shown her a bar trick. He recycles beer through his own nose into his glass. And I heard a voice in my mind with elegant elocution and exquisite breath control. A classically trained British voice that said, "Not to be." Thank you. He approached me with the haunted eyes of a hungry hound. He said, "I got a quarter in my pocket, I can make it disappear. I got a quarter in my pocket, I can make it disappear." I said, "Show me." I swear to you, ladies and gentlemen, all he did was snap his fingers. He said, "It's gone." I said, "Where did it go?" He said, "Check your pocket." I checked my pocket, and sure enough, there, amongst all my other loose change, a bright, shiny quarter. I said, "How do I know this is yours?" He said, "Check the date." I checked the date and said, "It's from 1994. He said, "That is mine." I returned it to him. I said, "That's amazing. Do it again." He said, "I never repeat myself. I never repeat myself." I said, "Show me another." He said, "I will need a $10 bill." I said, "All I have is a 20. He said, "That will do." I handed him a $20 bill. He folded it right in front of me. No alakadabra, no abracazam. When he unfolded it, it was a 5. He returned it to me. I said, "Change it back." He said, "If I could change 5s into 20s, I wouldn't be out here working for tips. I like to support the arts." I gave him the 5. I went into the convenience store. I bought milk for my morning coffee. I bought ice cream for my wife. As I came out, the man was approaching another gentleman in the parking lot. He said, "I got a quarter in my pocket. I can make it disappear. I got a quarter in my pocket. I can make it disappear." I watched with the hungry eyes of a hunting hawk, and I swear to you, ladies and gentlemen, all he did was snap his fingers. Thank you.